Greetings, kinsmen. Here we are again. The yurt just wasn't big enough, and so here we are with part 2. Yurt me baby one more time. Build that wall. So right now I got some scrap 2x8s, or 2x6s, and it's white pine, not yellow. So there's a reason for that. The frame wall is just a bit too heavy. I think that's because it's the yellow pine. Oops, forgot my hearing protection. Be right back. So yeah, the reason why I want to go with white pine is because, well, it's lighter than yellow pine. So I was going to experiment to see how well it works. Once I rip that down to 8 foot, I'm going to cross cut it to 8 foot. And now I'm going to rip it in half so I can drill holes through the side like I did with those 2x4s in the first episode. And here's that familiar sound. I don't like it. You guys don't like it. I think the reason why is I'm binding up on the blade because I'm not feeding it straight in. I need a riving blade on the other side of the saw blade, which keeps that board straight and keeps it moving forward and helps keep kickback from happening. And I'm not sure why I'm doing this. Oh, right. The table is too high and I'm pushing up against one of the rollers. The reason why I had to adjust it is because both sides were at the same height, but the garage floor is not level. Here we are again, drilling out all 10 holes on these boards. And if you want to know exactly where the measurements are, check out my first episode on the yurt building series. And it was so much harder to drill through that wet yellow pine. And this is so much easier, like butter. Now that we got our holes drilled, gotta rip them out to 3/8 inch. But as you can see, there's a problem. Come on, buddy, you can figure out. There you go. Gotta adjust the fence to 3/8, or just a hair under 3/8, and the saw blade gotta drop it down just a 1/4 inch above the wood. And the reason for that is that I don't want too much blade rubbing against the board. The more blade that's touching the wood, the slower that blade's going to go. So I want the least amount of friction as possible. And here's my obligatory sub, share, like, and all that stuff to support my channel. Thanks, guys. If you guys recall the first episode, this one was so much easier. Here we are, marking out the holes. Oh, idea number 2. Was using furring strips. Now these are already ripped down to 3/4 inch. Now it's not 3/8, but for me at the time it was close enough. And if you guys need to know what those measurements are, go back to the first episode and I'll let you know. Here we are again with our trusty rusty slide ruler, aka combination square, marking the center of the board, making sure that we're not off center of the board. Anyway, moving on. So I'm only marking one of the boards, and in a little bit you'll find exactly why. I'm going to put that board at the top. I'm going to drill all the way down through all the boards, and that way I don't have to waste time marking every single board. When you're clamping all of these down, make sure that they're lined up. That way not one board's kind of sticking way out and you're not drilling through the center of the board. I had to do several plunges with the drill bit so I can clear out all the chips. Now I'm not sure if it's because it was really cheap bits or the fact that it's just soft wood and it clogged up real easy. Be sure to, every time you drill out a hole, you want to reset the clamp and you want to lay the boards flat, and that way they kind of automatically line up and you clamp it down and move on. So here we are removing all of the end pieces because we're going to end up building it back up. So that's not going to work with all these end pieces. My razor knife wasn't working. I know. It's my favorite tool. But my serrated edge on my multi-tool worked out way better. It was just faster. And honestly, I'm always carrying that tool with me as well. By the way, I'm not sure why I'm flipping this over. I think to get better access to the other half of the end pieces, but I really don't need to. And I think it was just a little bit of wasted effort. But you can do it too if you want. And of course you got to do this with both walls, but don't remove both sides of the end pieces, just one side, because we're eventually going to join those two end pieces together. One of my other ideas was that I could save myself time on setup if I didn't have to lace the wall together. It was already laced together. This is bad idea number 3, and you'll find out in a little bit why. I thought I could save myself some time if I can just pull off this little spindle and the rope would just spin off of that little handle. But it didn't quite work out like I thought it would. So there's a saying, it's not stupid if it works. So, well, you know, if it didn't work, then it's just stupid. Anyway, see you right there. Really dumb. Don't try that. Okay, bad idea number 4. I was going to use fishing line to pull the string through the hole so I can tie it together. And again, it's not dumb if it works, but you know, it has to work. So yeah, you'll see in a little bit. But you won't know if it's dumb until you try it. So always try new things, even if you might look stupid doing it. You never know. It could actually work, and everybody else looks stupid for not doing it. Another idea, which I think really works, is that I'm not outside standing up doing this. It's not propped up against a wall, and I'm actually doing this on a bench. So I can sit and do this, and I'll have more energy by the end of the day, less mistakes. Also, I'm going back to the hairpin. The hairpin seems to be working just fine, and I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Also, dumb idea number, 502, I lost count. Anyway, is tying it too tight. As you can see, the boards aren't fully extended out, and so I'm going to need more slack on that line for it to extend fully. I ended up having to redo some of these because it just wasn't working right. It wouldn't accordion out like I needed it to. Now this actually worked, and I didn't need a bench to do it. Neither do you. And these sawhorses really didn't cost me that much. I went to the discount tool store, you know which one, and I was able to set this up just about anywhere, and I could work on this just about anywhere. And I can access both holes, top and bottom. I can just go down the line and lace it up. And in case you guys need a refresher on how I laced all these holes, I just did it just like this. Go down through the hole, go around the board once, go back up through the bottom hole, and you tie 2 knots back to back. It's simple yet tedious. And again, it's probably the most time-consuming part about this project, but thankfully with this new idea, it took a lot less time. So one of the handful of issues that I had with including these furring strips is that they're definitely thicker, which means I need more jute string to tie it all together. I ended up having to just tie it once instead of 2 knots and glue it together. It seemed to work, but I think eventually you're going to find out why the furring strips wasn't really a good idea. I gotta say, I really like using the sawhorses. It was so much faster, and I had so much more energy by the end of the day. I could just go down the whole board and tie it up in about half the time. And that's a significant time savings. And if you don't take advantage of that, well, that's a really dumb idea. Now that I have all the boards laced in, I'm gonna join the 2 ends together. This took a bit of jockeying to try and get them to overlap, but eventually I got it. It only took me a few minutes. And again, those sawhorses just coming in handy. Now that I have everything lined up just right, I'm only going to lace the top and bottom holes, and I'm going to test to see just how long this is and if it hits the circumference that I need it to be. Now, if you don't have a long wall to stretch this out, you could probably do this in just a yard or just a big open space where, not a parking lot where you get hit by a car, duh. But yeah, you could just stretch this out in a circle if you don't have anything else to prop it up against. And now I've got my 100-foot tape measure, and it's going to be the moment of truth. So that's 36 feet and 9 inches. Shorter than I want it to be. It is what it is. If you like this episode, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell button. And don't be afraid to leave a comment below to share your thoughts, advice, and questions. If this has helped you in any way, buy me a horn of meat on my Ko-Fi or head over to my Patreon. If every sub gives just $1 a month, our projects will become more epic and our stories legendary. I also have my own merch, so you can show your love for the channel and look good doing it. But more importantly, be humble, be helpful, and be honorable.